Rebel with a Cause, Mark Twain's Hidden Memoirs. Chapter 34, Burlingame and the Hornet, 1866. What Horace Bixby was for my steamboat piloting career, Anson Burlingame was for my writing career. They both prodded me to improve, albeit in different ways and with a completely different manner in how they went about it. I met Burlingame in 1866, when he was stopping over in the Sandwich Islands on his way back to his diplomatic post in China, where he did such good work for the United States. That amazing man helped me in both the short term and the long term. He saw something worth criticizing in me, apparently, and exhorted me to stop fooling away my time and instead concentrate on bettering myself by improving my associates. He told me to strive to always climb and to gravitate towards those of intellect and character. While I and the Burlingames, Anson and his son Edward, who was an admirer of the Jumping Frog story, were in the islands, survivors of a shipwreck arrived. A clipper ship named the Hornet had caught fire and sank. After 43 days in a lifeboat, 14 from the vessel finally reached the islands, safe but none too sound. At the time of the news of their rescue at our shores, I was bedridden with terrible saddle sores. Here was a great occasion to get up something of note for my newspaper sponsors, and I not able to take advantage of it. Necessarily, I was in deep trouble. It was by good luck indeed that His Excellency Anson Burlingame was there at the time. He and his son came to my rescue and served as my premature pallbearers, carrying me on my sickbed to where I could listen to them interview the survivors of the shipwreck. I had nothing to do but make the notes. It was just like Burlingame to take that trouble. He was a great man and a great American, and it was in his fine nature to come down from his high office and do a friendly turn whenever he could. We got through with the work at 6 in the evening. I took no dinner, for there was no time to spare if I would beat the other correspondents. I spent 4 hours arranging the notes in their proper order, then wrote all night and beyond it, with this result, that I had a very long and detailed account of the Hornet episode ready at 9 in the morning, while the correspondents of the San Francisco journals had nothing but a brief outline report, for they didn't sit up. The Now and Then schooner was to sail for San Francisco about 9. When I reached the dock, she was free forward and was just casting off her stern line. My fat envelope was thrown by a strong hand and fell on board all right, and my victory was a safe thing. All in due time, the ship reached San Francisco, and my story was sent to my sponsors at the Sacramento Union, which created a sensation and was reprinted across the country. Soon after returning to San Francisco, I improved on the story. I was able to do this because on the return trip to California, 3 of the Hornet survivors were my fellow passengers, and after being allowed to read their diaries, I reworked the material I had written earlier, incorporating portions of those diaries. The resultant article was printed by Harper's Magazine, with the title 43 Days in an Open Boat. Unfortunately, they gave me the byline Mike Swain or McSwain, I don't remember which. Apparently, they had proven unable to decipher my elegant calligraphy, or hieroglyphics. I later wrote the sketch, My Debut as a Literary Person, based on the fact that this success, scooping all the other reporters, was a significant stepping stone to my becoming celebrated and conspicuous, or at least brought me some recognition and respect as a writer and then as a lecturer. This coming about because the Sandwich Islands was the text I used for my first appearance on the lecture platform. Editor's notes. The city of Burlingame, California, located 17 miles south of San Francisco, was named for Twain's benefactor, Anson Burlingame. In his 1894 sketch, Private History of the Jumping Frog Story, Twain wrote that, The Jumping Frog was the first piece of writing of mine that spread itself through the newspapers and brought me into public notice. However, as he mentions above, in 1899, Twain wrote a piece called My Debut as a Literary Person, wherein he claims that it was not the celebrated Jumping Frog of Calaveras County that marked his debut as a literary man, but his Hornet story. He considered himself attaining thereby to that stature of a literary person, even though his apparently carelessly signed name, in those pre-typewriter and pre-computer days, lacked sufficient legibility, leading authorship of the piece to be attributed to a Mark Swain in the story's byline.